So the patches came out, and I've spent the last couple of hours just playing through certain points of the game and just testing out to see what's fixed, what hasn't been fixed, what's been done, what hasn't been done. And I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, it ain't much. Really, the only real obvious difference that has been made, and I'm getting this out of the way first just to save people the disappointment who probably have their hopes up, is number one, you can invert the camera in the first 3 games now, and number 2, the turbos have been fixed in all the games that needed the turbos fixed. Other than that, well, we're gonna go through it, and it's well, we'll see. Let's start off with Jak I, which honestly was never really that bad to begin with. It was a very playable, very decently done port, apart from a few hiccups here and there, which still, unfortunately, aren't fixed. You can now invert the camera using L3 and up, which will be a godsend for a lot of people who really had trouble with the camera being re-inverted from the original to inverted to more modern, but now by default it's re-inverted back to the original. So now when people go back to play it in a while and they don't know the game's been patched and they don't know the little L3 and up combination they need to do to invert the camera, they're going to be confused as fuck. So I think it should be probably a bit more obvious. I mean, instead of having to go to update history and reading the patch notes, it should be a bit more obvious to, change it. Other than that though, I'm glad they did add it. I mean, it was a feature that has been asked, and thankfully they were listening to feedback, so thank you very much for that. Thankfully we have that little feature now. Frame rate in most places honestly seems exactly the same. I've tested it in some of the notable problem areas, such as the final boss at Golemaya Citadel and Forbidden Jungle Place, and zoomer locations, and frame pace and frame rate basically are exactly the same. There's no difference, nothing really changed there from what I can notice, unless it's a very incredibly subtle difference. Speaking of Golemaya Citadel though, it appears that they have fixed the Citadel skip, which is a speedrunning strat that's been used for years in the Jak speedruns, and that's really odd, and it really kind of adds to the suspicion that they've updated the game to the greatest hits version, which is, I don't know anything more about this. I don't know, it's all just speculation at the moment, but that would probably make the most sense, that they swapped the game out with the greatest hits version of the game for some reason. I don't know, because the Citadel skip does not work in the greatest hits version of the game. It's odd, it's an odd change. I don't know why they've done this. Unfortunately, and this is a big disappointment for me, and probably will be a big disappointment for a lot of speedrunners, is the directional movement is still the same. It's still only, how do I explain this? It's very hard to explain, and Boomer probably explained it a few times much better than I can, but when you move, Jak kind of snaps to places instead of having a smooth movement to it, and it's like half the directional inputs are gone. There's about 8 directions you can turn in, as opposed to the original game 16, and that does really limit movement and really limit control over the game. And unfortunately, that's still not fixed. So yeah, basically for Jak 1 they really just added the invert camera function, and that's fine, I guess. I mean, it wasn't a bad port to begin with, so fine. Let's see how they're done in Jak II. Jak II now has the same little feature where you can invert the camera. Unfortunately, that's about all I noticed. Opening is still pretty fucked with the frames dropping and the crackling audio. The crackling audio, by the way, is still present in pretty much every cutscene, and they did say that that's probably unfixable, so gonna have to deal with that forever. The Haven Forest textures, which I thought would definitely be fixed, are still kind of fucked. They did fix them in a previous patch before, but they're still pretty fucking jaggedy and boring and shitty and bad. And look at this, just look to say this, it's not very nice. Of course, the core attack is still fucked. Another one I thought they'd fix, they didn't. It's still very, well, look at it, it's still fucked. Also, while I was messing around in Haven Forest, I got this funny little blooper here. Yeah, I just thought it was hilarious.
What the fuck?
Some of the lighting is still really weird, I mean, typical emulation stuff, such as the glow coming out of the vents, and the water kind of lighting is still weird. Good news though is the turbos are fixed. Never much of a problem in Jak 2, but they did fix them, especially in those medium zoomers, you know, the like greeny, orangey ones. I'll show you the footage here. Look, they're fixed now. That's cool. And then again, never the biggest problem with Jak 2, but at least they did put in the effort to fix that. And of course, the eye pupils are still weird. The pupils in the eyes are still kind of like really low res, really, I don't know, it's weird. They just don't look as good as they did in the originals. You know, when like the eyes are like so good in the Jak games, and they're just in this one, they look weird. There's also, I don't know if this was present before, I don't remember it, but there's a weird speed up in the Dark Bomb.
Oh, what the fuck?
When you go into Dark Bomb, like the game just speeds up massive. It looks really weird. Again, I don't know if that was in the original port of the game, but there you go. That's a thing now. And of course, Cruise Place is still fucked. Look at that. Yummy. And that's basically it. I know I've only played a brief amount of it. I don't have the time to really like go into every nook and cranny of it. And in fairness to Portable Kingpin, he did say that everything was going to be a case-by-case basis. So they've probably fixed the frame rate and other things in places that I didn't look in. But in the places that were prominent in my mind and the places that I remembered were pretty bad, they're all still pretty bad. Jak Tree. We'll start with the positives. Turbos are fixed. Look at that. Look, the turbos now are actually inside where they're supposed to be. How fun. Yay. Even in the opening cutscene, the turbo's fixed. But that's really the only good thing I can say about the opening cutscene, because look at the state of this. Oh my god, it's gone really weird. It's all stuttery and janky now. I don't know again if that was like in the original port of the PS4 one, but it's like it in this update, and it's sick-inducing. The water is still weird. The pupils are still weird. The Hellcat turbos are really fucking weird. Wow, that's weird. I like the word weird. And other than that, frame rate everywhere seems exactly the same to me. I again didn't notice anything. Again, I didn't play much of it, but Spargus was as bad as ever. Haven City was as bad as ever with the bad weather with the bad weather cheat on. It's still a bit of a mess, honestly. Really, unfortunately, disappointment for me at least that there barely anything's fixed. But let's get to Jak X now, and Jak X is very interesting. The turbos are fixed. Yay! I mean, that's good. That's actually really good for Jak X. I'm gonna be honest. The turbos are fixed. That was a big problem with Jak X, because you are looking at the arse of the car for 90% of the game, and when the turbos are all over the fucking place, that's really weird. But other than that, the frame rate, when I did manage to actually get into a race, the frame rate to me seemed much worse, and it seemed really pretty fucking bad. And also, the game crashes a lot now. Whenever you go into the garage and pick a car, you have like a 80% chance that the game's gonna crash on you. That's not fun, and I really hope they can get that fixed there, because Jak X is nearly like at the borderline of unplayable at this point. So I think Jak X really needs to be sorted out. I mean, all the other 3 games are playable. They're still a mess, but they're still playable at least. But Jak X, that's probably going to need to be your top priority, lads, because that's a bit of a mess. And other than that, that's basically it. Yeah, a bit of a downer, a bit of a bummer, really. They fixed, I mean, in fairness to them, they did fix, like, some of the things we asked for. They did add the invert camera option, which, why am I holding this? I sold this yesterday as well. It's a fucking... And, I mean, silver lining here, they did listen to some of our complaints. They did fix the turbos. They did add the invert camera option. They did probably fix frame rate in some places. I didn't notice it anywhere, but maybe someone more eagle-eyed than me and someone who played the games a bit more in depth than me will realize it. But from what I played in the main problem areas, it's not fixed, and a lot of the textures still ain't fixed, the water still ain't fixed, the eyes still ain't fixed. Yeah, it's a bare bones patch, but it's a patch nonetheless, and we still got one. They still lived up to the word. They still released it. And that's it. That's all I have to say. So thanks for watching. If you've noticed anything I didn't notice, please put it in the comments below, and I might do an update video compiling everything else that everyone else done, because everyone else does the work but me, and then I get all the profits from it. Super special thanks also to Dextermaster2 on Twitter, and to everyone else on Twitter who's been sending me updates and their experiences with the game, and also to Boomer's Discord, in which I found out about the Citadel skip, which wouldn't have made it into this video if I didn't look there. So yeah, that's that. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you for whatever the fuck I do next. Good luck.